All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawinta.
And today we are covering Klaus, written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Dan Mora. This is the second installment in our holiday comics category. This is in kind of mythological type origin story of Santa Claus. And, we've covered Grant Morrison before. If you want kind of a little mini biography of them, that is in our We 3 episode. Recommend checking that out. And this is our first work covered by Dan Mora. His full name is Dan Mora Chavez. He is from Costa Rica. He won a Best Newcomer Award in 2016 for this book. Since then, he's been he's been drawing a lot for DC, doing World's Finest in the Dawn of DC era. And yeah, that's kind of most of the info I have on him. And of course, just to give a brief, info about Grant Morrison, they are a prolific comic book writer, have been at mostly DC since the mid-'80s. Before that, writing for British publications and UK publications like 2000 AD, part of the, quote-unquote British invasion, even though they are Scottish by birth.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing, is that, like, if you're successful enough, Britain will just claim you, like, as a citizen.
Yeah. It's very true. Colonization. But yeah, we've covered their JLA, we've covered their, it wasn't their run on Batman, but Batman, Arkham Asylum, Serious House on Serious Earth, Animal Man, Doom Patrol.
Wasn't Invisibles by them as well?
Yes, yep. The Invisibles.
We 3.
And We 3, as I mentioned before, yeah. Yeah, so lots of coverage of Grant Morrison. Big fan, personally, of their work. But yeah, so this is Klaus, and it is the origin story of a more heroic type Santa Claus. He's a young man in this. We see him traveling in the wintertime and to this village.
Grimsvig.
Yes.
It's like a medieval town.
Yeah, medieval town. I think the Wikipedia page described it as the 16th century. So like 1500s.
Really? Wow. Gotcha.
Yeah. For whatever that's worth, I don't. Yeah, basically we later learned that this is his hometown, but he hasn't been there for many years. Mm-hmm. He was ousted. I'm just going to kind of skip around a little bit. We don't learn this at the very beginning, but he
comes revealed eventually.
Yeah, it is revealed eventually that he was framed for the murder of the king, the Baron, yes.
Yeah.
And so he was banished and suspected to have been eaten by wolves. But he has been living outside in the wilderness, as a lot of people in the town call him a wild man. He lives with a white wolf, Lily. Basically, he's just been surviving out there. He goes to Grimsvig, and he's asking a lot of questions about, like, why things aren't the way he remembers them, basically. He had friends
like
here.
all the men are, like, not in town, and it comes out that they're all in the mines constantly being worked to, like, get coal is the reason given.
Yeah. Yeah, and also a kid is suspected to be playing with a toy. It's only a stone, but anything can be a toy.
Mm-hmm.
No fun allowed.
No fun allowed.
Yep.
All toys must be relinquished and given to the Baron for the Baron's son.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so then we get introduced to the Baron, Lord Magnus, a very just evil-looking guy, pale skin, red eyes.
Yeah, like a dark elf or something.
I mean, yeah, when we were talking about the backstory, of course it's Magnus who actually poisoned the king. Or not king,
Right.
Baron.
Yeah.
The
Who actually poisoned the Baron and then married the Baron's daughter.
Dagmar, or Dagmar.
Yeah, Dagmar.
Mm.
And then now they kind of rule with their son.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like Baron Ehrlich saved Klaus as a little baby, and he grew up in his house.
Right, yeah, because Klaus, his mother, was found frozen, holding him on the frozen lake, and they just found him. It was a miracle that he was still alive because his mother was frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? No, but
Yeah, it is.
It's magic. Don't
Yeah.
Yeah, it is magic. Like, I mean,
this is a medieval magical setting.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't care what century it is.
And so how that came about is like Lady Dagmar was like playing with Klaus, and it was like they were having fun, and it was building to something romantic, and Lord Magnus, or Master Magnus, I guess, couldn't have that. He was like, no, that's not okay. I would do anything to have her.
Yeah.
And then it's not stated, but I assume that voice was actually, I guess it was maybe his own voice.
Was the voice already there?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That the voice was already there saying, hey, we can make a deal if you kill Baron Ehrlich. And so he was like, all right. And then to have her? Sweet.
Yeah. Plus power.
True.
You get to rule. Everybody listens to you. And you'll be super powerful. Mm-hmm. No strings attached. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, now the current setting, like all the toys of the children in the village are being given to Jonas?
Yes.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
But being the son of Magnus and being taught by Magnus to like not care at all about people's feelings, to always want more. He's just like ruining everything, being like, why isn't this toy fun?
Yeah, it's so boring.
Right. And at the same time, he believes that he's sick. So to hang out with other people would be like, or catch something.
Yeah, he has like immunocompromised kind of, yeah.
Or he was just lying to him.
I mean, it's kind of, it's more like, I think that Magnus probably knows, but at the same time, it's like, you shouldn't consort yourself with the people below you.
Yeah, that's fair.
And here's the reason why. They're gross.
Mm-hmm.
And probably sick.
Mm-hmm.
They're gross and poor. You don't want to be with them.
Yeah.
So Jonas and Dagmar are both pretty cooped up in the castle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dagmar, that's the other thing too, is that Magnus is just plainly saying, like, Dagmar is going crazy.
Yeah. Which is kind of strange for him to say, just because it's not like he ever looked at her and was like, that's some crazy. Like, there was none of her actions would say that.
No. It is just, like, I think it's just that she is not madly in love with him, and he's like, why wouldn't that be?
Yeah, that's fair. That's clear. I'm such a catch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Klaus gets victimized once again, beat up for trying to stand in the way of them taking that rock from that child or something.
Yeah. And asking too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they take all his, like, all the stuff he brought to town to, like, sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like furs and whatever.
Yeah.
And
then basically he gets shot with an arrow in the shoulder.
oh yeah, they tie him up. They bind him in the hands, and then like chase him into the woods because they're like, oh, we're just gonna like let him run around and then kill him.
Yeah. He's like,
but he
what?
gets free thanks to his wolf.
Yeah.
Yep. So the wolf comes save him, and then he has an experience that could be considered out of this world.
Yeah.
He just plays a flute, falls asleep. Some little aliens? Question mark. They're not aliens.
I think they're
they look
shiny
like
people.
aliens.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be little forest spirits. But when it first happened, I was like, aliens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He falls asleep / goes into like a different state and creates a bunch of toys. He wakes up to them. They're magical toys. He's like, what do I do with all these?
and look at...
I go back into town and like, disperse them.
Yeah.
In secret.
Rebelliously.
It's like they're already in the red bag. It's like they're already packaged. Let's go.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And also, definitely like, they'll talk more about it later, but yeah, these spirits of the forest, they travel down from the northern lights, the aurora.
So then the next day he sneaks into town, or next night he sneaks into town to disperse all the toys to the families. And so the families all wake up the next day with toys on their front, by their door. And they're all freaking out because it's like, this isn't supposed to happen. All the toys go to, don't let anybody see it.
But the kids are having fun.
And
kids are not subtle about it.
Yeah.
No, not at all. But
Magnus is like, what the heck?
But imagine it. They have toys that can fly. Yeah. They have like a little bird.
Yeah.
You're a kid. You're like, yeah, my toy should do this.
Right.
That's just how I imagined it.
And so, Magnus gets upset, of course. Jonas also gets upset. Why are they having fun?
Yeah.
Without me? Or not even without me. They're having fun and I'm not having fun.
Yeah. I didn't get
and
new
he
toys.
gets the toys because they round up all the toys and they give them to, Jonas.
Yeah.
And he gets them and they don't work anymore.
Yeah.
They're not magical.
He's like, my father lied to me. I'm like, well.
Yeah. Well, then, he does like spiral into like self-hatred too. Like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. Which, I mean, makes like, the thinking about a child, it's like, they would start asking that.
So then they like they get that night they're like beefing up their security around the wall. They get a guy named
Olaf, yeah.
Olaf, yeah. I wanted to say Olaf, and I was like, no, I know it has an A in there.
Not the snowman.
Yeah, not the snowman. But Olaf, he's like big and burly, like
Lou Ferrigno type.
Yeah.
Or Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, he's like, really like kind of full of himself, like this guy is not going to make it past me. But then he gets snuck up on and gets punched right in the face. But
he kind of shrugged it off.
Yeah. But yeah, then he tells Klaus, like, you've walked into my trap, but it turns out Klaus has actually set a trap for him. And
trap within a trap.
A trap within a trap. Gets rope around his leg like a lasso and pulls him down and makes a snowman out of him.
I didn't even notice that when I first read it.
Yeah. There's a couple of things in here that are a little bit like blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this one is a little bit more obvious, but there's a later thing they'll point out where I'm like, oh. But yeah, he's like upside down, so his legs are making the arms of the snowman, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, but they do find some fabric from Klaus, and they use it to, the scent for the hunting dogs to find them, or to find him. Yeah, so he's being cornered by these dogs. But his wolf, Lily, comes to his rescue, and, you know, she is just so obviously, like, more powerful than the dogs are, you know.
She just showed up.
Yeah.
And her sheer presence made dogs go, mm.
Yeah, they're just whimpering, you know. And then they run off. Yeah, and then Klaus is able to escape, but he doesn't go back to, like, his home outside of the walls. He does kind of stay hiding in Grimsvig.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's like, well, how am I going to get the toys
He's got to deliver more toys to the kids, I guess.
Yeah. And so he's up on the rooftops and realizes that pretty much everybody has a chimney.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he's fulfilling the legend.
Yes. Meanwhile,
Is there a legend? Is there already a Santa Claus legend that he's following?
No.
Well,
Like a time spirit legend.
Okay.
I wasn't going there.
Yeah.
Oh, you meant like reverse engineering kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Check the box.
Yes.
But yeah, meanwhile, the kids are starting to, you know, wish to the spirit, basically. You know, lots of people so far, like, you know, because he hasn't really been seen, they're calling him like a ghost.
The name they gave him was the Jewelerinth or Jewelernis.
Yes, which I think that is actually the spirit that, like, you know, predates him, you know. Yeah. Like, that already existed, and that's maybe even the names of the spirits that we see him, you know, give him
interesting
the abilities. That was a little unclear, but that's kind of what I came to understood. But down in the mines, they're mining for coal. The workers, some of them are obviously, like, starving, malnourished, and they're starting to, you know, cave. They can't do it anymore. They just, like, you know, topple over dead, kind of, and
not only that, they're also hearing a voice.
Yes, yeah, they're hearing a voice,
freaking out.
Yeah. But yeah, unrest is starting to happen in the town, which weird.
I feel so bad. There's the panel with the guy's name Gunner. And he just looks so, his spirit has left him. Like, so crushed. And then they're trying to be like, make a wish, Dad. And it's like, oh, that's not the time.
Yeah.
and then Chad Magnus over here has a talk.
That could be a name, so maybe don't use that.
Well, okay, I'm saying.
Like, who's Chad?
I'm not saying his name is Chad. I'm saying the Chad here.
The illustrious Magnus.
The Chad here, whose name is Magnus, talks to his wife, and he's like, "What do you have in your hand?" It's like a little bird that someone got me as a present. And the dude's like, just crushes it in his hand. I'm like, oh my gosh. That was like added sentimental value.
Property.
Yeah.
Chat behavior. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was being sarcastic.
Okay.
I was being sarcastic.
I mean, like, their first initial where they have the dinner together and Magnus is talking to Dagmar. And he's like, you're showing way too much interest into this tale of a wild man. Like, you gotta stop talking about the wild man. She's like, I heard there's a wild man.
Yeah.
But it comes out that she knows Klaus.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But Klaus, you know, he is a little bit hurt again. He's, you know, making his special medicine soup that he had made before. And he gets, you know, revisited by the spirits of the forest. I assume make some more toys since they all got destroyed.
He just got fluted up.
Yeah. Yeah, through music and medicine.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's when he would make the toys.
Yes, yeah. And then back at the coal mines, Magnus, has retrieved a book from his library, and he starts talking to the voice that that is in.
To be heard in the minds.
Yeah.
And basically, there is the establishment that he has made a deal with this thing. And then, church bells ring one day, which are meant only to dismiss people from church and to dismiss people from work.
Mm-hmm.
But it was in the middle of the service, and the rune for joy is out in the snow.
Which just looks like a P.
Yeah, a bit. It's like a flag, a triangular flag.
Yeah, that's fair. And then we get a cool shot of Santa, moving about the rooftops.
Yeah.
On a zip line.
Very Assassin's
Very
Creed.
Assassin's Creed.
Yes. Yes.
And then he's like got that forest spirit magic in him right now. You see a little bit of not lightning but stuff around his hand, and he like
energy or something.
Yeah, energy, and he cuts down an old tree that he had brought when he was there before as a young man.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he says, "Remember me? I cut live wood from your branches once, dead tree. I made a symbol." Right. And he lights it afire in the town. And that's when Magnus kind of declares war on him.
Mm-hmm. But then the true Chad over here goes to talk to Lady Dagmar.
Yes. Yeah, she at first doesn't fully recognize him, doesn't want to really accept that she knows him. Mm-hmm. And she's threatening to, bring security by ringing her bell. Yeah. But he brings her one of the birds that he made.
To replace the bird that got crushed because he made that for her when they were little and she lost some bird pet probably.
Yeah. And at first, she comes to the realization of who it is fully and then slaps him because, she still believes that he had killed her father. But he reveals that he was framed, and then
it's like, yeah, I was framed and you knew it. And she's like, you're right.
Yeah, I don't know if she knew it necessarily.
Like deep down.
Yeah, perhaps that's true.
I mean, all it takes is his word, right?
Right.
So she kind of probably already believed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he gives a toy that is for Jonas, made specifically for him. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool, for this old setting, it really looks like a robot or something, it's like, he's like, it's a weird bug giant thing.
Oh yeah. It kind of harkens back to, I don't know his name.
What?
Darth something.
Darth Vader?
No, the guy with the multiple arms.
Oh, Sidious?
Is that his name?
Okay. Or no,
that's
not
Grievous.
Grievous, yes.
Yeah.
General Grievous.
General Grievous, yeah.
Yes. Yes, it looks sort of like General Grievous.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
It makes me think of the villain to Buzz Lightyear.
Oh.
Very specific.
Lord Zed?
No, it's something with a Z, but it's not Zed. Zurg.
Zurg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a combo of the two because the toy definitely has multiple 4 arms, but then the Zurg comparison has the big arching shoulder thingies, shoulder
Thing
tendrils.
to make for a child, though.
Yeah.
Like blown his mind.
But the idea being that this can be anything. You can move it however you want, and it's like, oh, we can make stories with it. Oh, it's alive. Like,
His mom teaching him to play, pretend for the first time.
Which is it's weird to think that like you grow up and you don't have the concept of like, oh, imagination.
Yeah, I mean he does, but only it's a very limited imagination. Yeah, it's within the confines of what he knows in his world, which is destruction and being in power over things.
That's fair.
He does not have the imagination to see other things.
Yeah, some people just don't play pretend as kids.
Yeah.
Which is that's different.
Yeah. And then so meanwhile in the coal mines, there is the start of a rebellion, but there's still soldiers there that are, loyal to Magnus, and they kill the leaders of the rebellion, and demand the rest of the workers to get back to work, which they do. Meanwhile, the voice is saying, "Free me, free me, free me."
Yeah, and then we have this guy. His name is Carl. I forget his last name, like Livinkist or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like he's down there in the mines as a soldier. Has a little bit of authority. Not sure what to extent. But he sees this and he's like, I can't. Like his conscience is,
Yeah, he's beginning to, realize how much he's let slide.
Yeah.
Basically, and he's not okay with it. And that same night, Klaus is at his house, tending the fire. He talks to him, reveals who he is to him. They knew each other in the past. Carl is, older than Klaus, but so Klaus knew him when, he was middle-aged, essentially. Now Carl is much older.
He's probably younger than middle-aged.
Yeah, and he wants Carl to kind of team up with him, essentially, help me. Yeah. I'm going to throw a Yuletide party and everyone's invited, which is obviously not allowed. Meanwhile, Magnus has a plan to trap Klaus. He's making Jonas write a letter to him, basically a Yuletide wish.
Yeah.
And it will, bring him to this house that will be a trap. Yeah, and then now Lady Dagmar is trying to essentially get Jonas out. She's really trying to gather information a little bit about what Magnus's plan is, because he has told Jonas some of it. But Magnus interrupts with a really big sword.
Yep. She kind of chastises him because he's like, yeah, you've never been able to pick up that sword before.
Yeah.
And this is right after we get panels of him like asking the voice in the mines, like, give me strength.
Yeah. So he's just been powered up, basically. But, obviously Magnus does still, he believes that he loves Lady Dagmar, so he's not going to use the sword on her. But he's, he wants her help,
Yeah. She's always been so clever.
Yeah.
So many good ideas.
You have to get me out of this. Meanwhile, Klaus is delivering toys down the chimneys. And he receives Jonas's letter. And I believe is the implication that these kids are burning the letters, but they then magically are received.
I thought
probably.
so, but then you see, like, when they were first talking about the chimneys, like, there's actually notes floating up through the chimneys.
Right.
Oh,
I don't know if that would actually work.
Okay.
I've never... Don't put paper into fireplace. If any kids are listening to this, don't do that.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Clog up your chimney with paper.
yeah.
That would be a lot of paper.
Right. Yeah. But I could see essentially the idea, that it's like, it's light enough to float on the hot air and float up to the rooftop. That makes sense. Yeah. And then Klaus almost gets caught.
He's like, because he was, so he's wearing the red and white of Grimsvig.
Mm-hmm.
And so this soldier is like, hey, aren't you supposed to be in the mines right now? He's like, nope. Hey, actually, come here a second. Let me put you to sleep.
Yeah. And yeah, Klaus basically takes that to be like, okay, it's time to like free the people of the mines.
No, the men.
The men of the mines, yeah, the people of the mines. And they light it on fire. It's a coal mine. That's bad. Yeah. Well, they get everybody out of there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. And yeah, it's pretty obvious that Magnus is kind of starting to lose it. He's like, the voice is getting louder every day. Mm-hmm. It's going to be here soon. The king is going to be here soon.
And then Dagmar's like, the only voice you're listening to is your own.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no voice. Mm-hmm. But they do get interrupted that the mine is on fire.
Yeah.
And yeah, Klaus is reading Jonas's letter that, basically there's one poor kid who does not even have a chimney. And he would really like, a visit. I'll leave the door unlatched. Mm-hmm. My mom is sick and all I do is take care of her. And yeah, also, meanwhile, Lady Dagmar is kind of trying to escape the castle, but the people are all against her because she's been with Lord Magnus,
And she kind of deluded herself into thinking like, oh yeah, everyone loves me.
Yeah.
They remember what I did 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You think 20 years ago? Probably 10 years.
10?
I don't know. They don't seem that old. I'm like, I believe
is like 10 probably.
Yeah.
13.
Okay. Well, so the 20 is like as a kid. Maybe she did something after that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagined that. Yeah, they're probably all in their 30s as adults, and Klaus was probably banished in his 20s. You know.
Yeah.
I think literally Jonas is a perfect.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Gap between when they got married.
I didn't think about the fact that like that incident, or her father dying, then he wasn't like, that was after Klaus had already been in the town for years.
Yes.
So
yes. Yeah, but so Klaus, he falls into the trap. Mm-hmm. He thinks that it's the mother that is sick, that's in the chair by the chimney or the fireplace that is no longer working, but it is actually Carl who is tied up.
Yeah.
Because they've figured out that they were going to work together. And yeah, so the trap is sprung. And they light the house on fire. They shoot him with arrows.
Well, that's after he had already ran.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so like they're trying to get him like while he's in the house, but they can't touch him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he jumps out the window, and then that's when they start firing from the roof those arrows that are on fire, which is really dumb, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, these houses are definitely very flammable. Don't do that. But he keeps on running. He gets himself up. He runs and runs across the rooftops. He slides down a giant fabric piece that probably has a name. I've seen those things. I don't know what they are.
It's like a drape
The drape, yeah.
comes from the like top of the tower or something like that, and just like
Yeah.
How about like a tapestry? I don't remember that section.
It's I don't know. It's like the things that you see hanging outside of a castle. It's part of the decoration, you know.
Oh, like banners and stuff.
Yeah. It's like a banner. And then it's a little, but you know, the guards have not caught up to him yet, but he has taken a fall and you know, probably wouldn't be able to get up very well. But the little boy from the very beginning finds him.
Yeah. His name is Finn.
Finn, yes. And so Finn helps him up and, you know, takes him outside. And, you know, Lily also, you know, finds them, and Klaus is able to be like, yeah, he's helping me. Meanwhile, Finn's dad is kind of being punished. Partially for the coal mine fire, and I'm trying to remember what else. That's right. They're also gathering up all the children. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're gathering up all the children. Finn has
So originally
siblings.
Finn was going to take him to his house,
Yeah.
Klaus to his house to like hide him.
Yes,
But everybody's being taken away, all the children.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make that connection, I see.
Yeah. So yeah, Finn takes him outside, and, you know, uses a little sled. He carries him. He has Lily, you know, help carry the sled. And Magnus goes outside with the guards to try and track down Klaus. Then after that, Lady Dagmar tries to take Jonas and, you know, bring him away from the castle. She knows that things are about to go down. It's going to be bad.
Time to get out of Dodge.
Yeah. And Finn is able to get Klaus to his house outside in the forest. You know, make some more healing soup.
Yeah, darn soup is just so potent.
It is. It's really potent.
The power of Yule time.
Yeah.
I was going to say the power of soup.
It's power soup. It's good soup.
Yeah, then the guards show up and with Magnus.
Yeah, they put, honestly, these arrows seem less like fire arrows and more like also magic energy arrows. I don't know if that is how it is supposed to be read, but I'm like, they're still like, I don't know, they're very...
If they have magic, they've been keeping it on the down low.
Yeah, they definitely have. Maybe it's only when Magnus is there. It's dark magic from the... Maybe. I don't know.
Why would he use a sword if he has magic?
I don't know.
You know, to be fair, he didn't use the sword.
He didn't. Yeah. Maybe.
He was not good at that sword.
No.
The sword was dragging on the ground.
Yeah.
He was not. He was not King Arthur.
No. But yeah. So they shoot Lily, you know, with arrows. While Finn is outside with her. You know, and they shoot more flaming arrows at his house.
Yep. And then they stake him on the ice.
Yeah.
Tie him up, put stakes in the ice, set his house ablaze, and then just leaves him there.
Yep. Yeah.
And then that's when Magnus discovers, oh, this Santa is actually just Klaus?
Yeah.
Klaus? Okay.
Yeah, he'll be fine. You know, he'll get eaten soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they return with Finn back to the town.
Mm-hmm.
They put Finn into the dungeon where all the kids are eating sweets.
Yeah.
They're like, this is the best.
Having a good time
Yeah.
in the dungeon.
Yeah. And Finn, wise beyond his years, is like, guys, come on, don't you see what's going on here? They're fattening us up.
Yeah, his sister.
Like, that's a great thing. I want to be fat.
Yeah, his sister is like, isn't that good? I've been so hungry. Yeah, and then in the coal mine, they got the last of the men working, and finally they make it through. And this giant beast cracks through the coal walls.
Yep.
And demands, "Where are the children?"
Was I the only one who thought, that looks like Krampus?
Yeah, I think that's probably partially what they were going for.
What else would they have been going for? Is my question. It's
That's
just
fair.
Krampus.
Yeah.
Jack Frost from Santa Claus 3.
Yeah, no. They just didn't ever name him. So,
Yeah.
But yeah. It's
I'm a demon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then at the same time, the king, he's been promised to be traveling here. And he's not happy. He's heard these stories that Magnus is not treating his people well. They have unfair laws, all of this stuff. And he's like, you either have to relinquish your rule or we'll go to war with you.
There is something that I had seen that, like, when I was reading this, I was like, are they going to say good job? And so, like, because I feel like there was some kind of like TV show or something that I saw where it was like, you torture your people, you subjugate
Pretty
them.
cool.
Like, yeah, that's pretty dope. I wish I thought of that. So I thought that's what they were gonna say.
The story is all good and evil.
Yeah.
Either good or you're bad.
Mhm.
According to Santa Claus.
Yeah, but the Baron is like, nah, don't worry. Those are just rumors. We'll clear everything up. Here, I made this special Yuletime feast for you. You know, everybody else has, sacrificed so that you can have the very best feast.
But then the guy, I feel like this is Baron Bjorn, but I'm not entirely certain. But this guy's talking and he's like looking at the food and he's like, I was like, dang it, why'd you look?
Yeah, I think that's actually, no, that's not the king. Yeah, no. But,
I honestly don't know who is the king. I don't know if that's made clear.
I believe it's the guy in the suit of armor. Well, I guess they all kind of have armor, but the silvery armor and the red around his neck.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Krampus demon, comes through the doors, carrying a burning body.
Oof. That was rough.
Yeah. Demanding the children. It's hungry.
Yeah. And at the same time, like just before this, Lady Dagmar and Jonas were brought to the castle because they were captured. Like they thought they could get away.
Yeah. To help, say hello to the king and all of that, to present like everything's okay. And then Lily, with the arrows still in her, comes to Klaus, still tied up on the lake. It's snowing. And he tells her to sing the song, and so she howls out and brings the forest spirits. And they, imbue him with even more magic than he's had before. Truly making him into, the Santa Claus.
It's kind of shown in like a side panel that his heart goes from like human heart to like frozen.
Oh,
yeah, it was really, really weird seeing that because that looks like a degression.
Right. Yeah, definitely different than the Grinch, where his heart grows
Yes.
two sizes.
I mean, kind of similar to the Grinch in that you're like, I don't think this is a good thing for you, Grinch.
Yeah.
Your heart did not grow in that physical way.
But it's definitely a full, magical metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
I like how there's like, these aren't even, they don't look like aliens. They look like, like rocks almost, like living.
Oh, they're the runes.
Yeah.
That was confusing to me when I first read that.
Yeah, they're holding the runes, but there's these like magical creatures that also kind of resemble like these crystal structures almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they are like, imbuing him with the power of these 3 runes, which I don't actually know. Like, one of them is an X in a stone. Mm-hmm. The other one is,
that's the one for joy.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, one of them is joy. And then, then the other one is like a line. And then there's, at the bottom of the line to the left is like another line sticking out, and then on the right side of the line is a line sticking up. Yeah. I don't know what those runes are, but I assume it's something similar to, joy, and that it's like, what the powers of Santa Claus are.
Laughter or something.
Whatever they are.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah, probably peace is probably one of them. And then, so cut back to the kids. They are totally unguarded because this demon has come to the doors. So, like, all of the guards have been pulled to that situation. And so they're trying to make their escape, led by Finn.
And at this time, the castle is burning.
Yeah, the castle is burning. And Magnus is all like, I'm supposed to be able to control you. I had your picture in this book, and it was supposed to be like this like kind of containment spell kind of thing. But now your picture's gone. And the Krampus demon is like, yeah, I tricked you.
Go ahead, command me.
Yeah. So Magnus starts to realize what he's done.
Except the fact that Klaus almost kills off Krampus until Magnus stabs him with a sword.
Yes, yeah.
He's like, okay, I helped you out. Now you'll help me out for real this time, right? Can you promise this?
Right. Yeah. And so before that, though, Klaus is now riding very magic, futuristic looking sleigh that is flying, carried by a pack of wolves.
Like Santa's reindeer from Legend.
Yes. And he has a giant sword.
So, something we skipped over is that in the beginning, with the Krampus demon, right after, the reason why Magnus was trying to look at the picture to contain him, to command him, was because he took his son. Mm-hmm. He's like, I eat bad children, or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was Jonas that he took. He's like, hold up.
Yeah.
This wasn't what we agreed to.
Yeah. But then after, Magnus is all like, you owe me now. I killed Claus. Mm-hmm. So, it's time for you to do your part of the bargain. But, you owe me. I want what I deserve, is what he says. And then the demon just, flame broils him.
Yeah. He's like,
you get it because it's what he deserves.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are a bad child, just grown up. So die. And this is right after Lady Dagmar is like, hey, you made your bed. Go lie in it. Mm-hmm. And just leaves him.
Yeah. the rest of the townspeople is actually now cheering for the demon. It's all like, yeah, he's dead. Do the rest.
We take allegiances so easily.
Yeah.
I didn't actually make that connection either.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they're like, where's the boy? give him the boy. And yeah, so then the demon almost gets Jonas. He's running away. He has, but he has chains that wrap around him. But Lady Dagmar, takes up Klaus's sword, to try and defend Jonas. But Klaus is able to heal through magic now. Not much kills him.
Yeah.
And he takes the sword back. And rescues Jonas. He says there's no such thing as bad children.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he slays the Krampus.
With the cutting off the head. Off the head.
Mm-hmm.
Always works.
And goes ho, 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 ho.
You're right. But
as
not
he does it.
As for some reason Krampus flies into outer space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, he's probably planning to, kind of destroy the village or something, or destroy the world. I don't know. But they crash back down to Earth. And everything is good from there. Klaus brings a new tree to the center of town to be decorated for the Yule time. And they have a big party.
And they continue to have many big parties.
Yeah.
Each and every year.
Until, they grow old together. But Klaus Klaus stays the same. Lady Dagmar ages until she, passes away. And Klaus decides that he's going to go and travel the world, but he will be back once a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end.
Yeah. Now, I first have a gripe because there's a issue cover with old man Santa with a white beard, white hair, and I'm like, we didn't get that. I want that.
It's a variant cover.
No.
I thought when he was on the lake, they were gonna be like, and he transforms,
right?
And then he gets a white beard and all that.
That would be great.
More magical girl transformation.
I did kind of want him to just be super old instead of 30.
Right. Yeah.
Rugged.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't care about that. Not I didn't care for it. It
just looks so cool.
Santa Claus, if he's not
an old
jolly,
man. Yeah.
white beard.
I mean, he has a kind of white beard at the end.
Yeah,
because of the snow.
Yeah. I liked the it's a frosty beard,
That's fair.
Yeah,
I could go either way on that one.
Mm-hmm. But overall, I thought this was a really good book. I think that this is Morrison leaning into some of their best writing impulses, honestly, as far as mythology. It doesn't get as weird as it could or complicated, but it is he does they do understand, kind of this building a mythical figure.
Yeah. And
I wanted it to get weirder.
Yeah.
It's good how it is, but I'd like it to get weirder.
I'm the exact opposite. I love how it was written. I am honestly comparing other Grant Morrison books, this one is my favorite. By far.
See, I want Christmas Invisibles.
I guess I have differing opinions.
Do you think it's just meh?
I thought this was ludicrously funnily bad.
Really?
Oh.
Wow.
I thought that dialogue was some of the worst I've ever seen.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, this is so dumb. They're so cartoonishly evil. And like for what motivations? Like kind of to kill the king, to keep power, to do what? To something.
Well, that's fair.
And Klaus is giving out toys because he feels bad, but also like he doesn't seem to understand that he made the toys. He's like, oh, toys. The little magical aliens come down and make toys. That's what I thought initially was. I didn't realize that they were forest spirits until later.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But I was like, it's really funny. I think it just kind of tonally doesn't understand itself. So I'm like, I think I'm supposed to feel like this is really dire.
Yeah,
and kind of cool action scenes to like take on this great evil, but it was so cartoony and like they're trying to do fairy tale with medieval kind of grittiness. But it doesn't really seem to understand where it is part of the time. Keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. To me, I really just understood it to be kind of a fairy tale legend kind of telling. I didn't really. I agree that there wasn't a lot of stakes, but at the same time,
we knew he wasn't going to fail. I mean, like obviously, we knew he wouldn't suffer any consequences. Really, he never really had any trouble most of the time.
I mean, he did get shot that one time.
He got but he never had trouble before that.
He got shot twice.
Yeah.
He got shot twice.
All you need is some soup and a cool wolf that loves you,
and singing and music.
Yes, yeah,
and a little flute performance.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
The best.
I didn't recognize like a tonal inconsistency in that regard. So yeah, I think for me though, it's like seeing a, quote unquote origin of Santa and just like, I just want to see how that happens. Like, how does it go down?
Yeah. It is creating like kind of a somewhat like, I won't call it believable because it's like Schwenta said, it is like kind of non-complex. Yeah. But it is believable in the way of like, this is just a story. This feels like it could have been like, this is the story of Santa Claus, Yeah.
I guess it is very fairy tale in that like, it doesn't really matter what the character motivations are. Like, this is what the story is going to be. This is how it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
It's not because a character wanted this a certain way. Like, Dagmar's so weird. She's where they try to have that thing where she's like, what do you mean? Are we tyrants? Like, Magnus, what are you saying? Yeah. Whereas, like, in the beginning, she's like, Jonas, your father only wants to profit off things. That's what he regulates. Fun. What are you? That's a thing people say. So, yeah, it is very fairy tale, which I guess is kind of probably what I didn't want. I really felt like the dialogue was probably what held it back the most. As far as being like really blunt and ridiculous at times.
Yeah.
Everybody's either really good or really bad. But yeah, that's fairy tale. So
yeah.
I really want to own this in print just because of how much it makes me laugh.
I think that hearing you say that, I didn't initially I did not understand that that's how you felt about it, and I do know you, so maybe I should have realized what owning something in print really means to you, but in my head I was like, oh, you must really like this, it must be really good.
It's the best.
It is so the opposite for you.
Like screenshotting different, like we read the ebook, and so I kept screenshotting different pages, being like, I can't believe they're doing this. This is really good. I can't believe they just said that.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, and I was like, I think they should absolutely have an Assassin's Creed Christmas time themed. That would be great. I want to see Assassin's Creed Santa.
Santa is an assassin.
Do you agree, though, Dagmar is very dumb for being like, are we the baddies? After saying some of the stuff she says. Yeah,
I think that she is probably somewhat poorly written. Like, you can write it off a little bit as like, just,
She's become so used to it.
Or even just like, she has completely dissociated from her life. And that is like even where Magnus comes in of like, she's gone mad. It's like she hasn't really gone mad, but she is dissociating from everything. She's like, this is not the life I want, but it is the life that I have. So I'm just going to peace out,
I took it as she was deceiving herself into... Like, well, it's either like she's deceiving herself into thinking like, oh, the people must love us. I mean, they do all these things. Or it's she's been in the castle so long, she doesn't even know what is going down on the ground.
Yeah. I think that, all of those things could be said, but also you have to kind of like be like, well, they could have said that, in the text a little bit more clearly if that is the case.
Yeah, there is quite a few... Or at least when it comes to Lady Dagmar, it's like there is interpretation like where you're like, well, this is how I think people during this time would have acted, kind of thing. So it's like inserting their motivations in there. Yeah.
But at the same time, too, you can't do that too much because, like we said, I feel like this is, taking on like a fairy tale kind of way. And it's like, I think that because a lot of our stories from times of old are fairy tales, we're like, oh, yeah, that's just how people acted. But it's like, no, people knew when there was like, injustice and, bad stuff happening to them. And
we just used to be so dumb.
Yeah. So now that I think about it, I agree with you, Shuenta. To answer your question.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. There's just something about the dialogue where it's... I don't know. That they have like... What else could scare off a troop of war dogs? A wolfman or a ghost? There's nothing in the small print about ghosts, is there? And then, like, the next page, they're like, we lost him. It seems we're dealing with a wolf, sir. Possibly a wolfman or a ghost. A wolf whom? A vanishing wolf. A ghost wolf. No less. They're like, shut up. They're just like, they just keep talking and saying the same thing over and over again. It just in that part mostly. But, like, there's so much of the dialogue that I'm like, okay, I get it. I get what you're saying. You're not being subtle about it. Like the part where the previous Baron is dying because, Magnus has been poisoning him. And the only words he ever says are so confused, feel so old, so sick, young Magnus. And Magnus is like, don't forget to drink your medicine. It's the only thing keeping you alive. And then he just immediately dies. Like, sure. Yeah, it's 3 panels. They gotta get to the point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this comic, like, even visually, where they kind of do things, and then they don't show it, but then they just mention it happened off screen. Like, they'll show the start of it, like the snowball falling.
Yeah.
And snowballing.
Yeah.
And we never see it hit them.
Right, yeah. I meant...
It's a weird moment.
Yeah, that is the thing that earlier I mentioned. Like, I was like, that was, I mentioned it whenever... the guard that got turned into a snowman, and I thought I would see it when I was kind of going through, and then I just kind of forgot. But that's how difficult it is to realize that it's happened, on page. It's like, oh, I see the snowball is, somebody threw a snowball up on a roof, it built, from the snow on the roof, and then suddenly it was big enough to crash on their heads and kind of knock them out.
Yeah. I definitely was confused about that before too.
Yeah. Yeah, which I mean, that is, I did feel like, even though I really did like Dan Mora's art here, there were some, I feel like panel issues and also occasional weird faces. I was just like, that doesn't belong there. What are you doing?
Gotcha. Do you think of a part for that?
Let me see. I think it was in the big battle, probably. I wish I would have screenshotted it or something, but I was just reading it last night, and because generally I think he does faces very well, but it was just like a few instances where I was like, this looks so out of place all of a sudden. I believe it was with Lady Dagmar.
Yeah, I can only imagine like when Magnus is yelling at her. Where it's like, that's near the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, I mean, for sure, we've talked about before, like, you know, the difficulties of having and making deadlines, and like, you know, less details on like, you know, smaller faces and stuff like that too. But sometimes that was also like, whoa, that's there's nothing there.
It's just two eyes and a line.
not quite that bad, but yeah.
I get you.
That a lot of this is like, I kind of want to say like the layout stuff where it's like it cuts off is probably what was described in the panel wise, because you know a lot of times the artists get like, this is what this happens in this panel, this is what happens in this panel, cut away real quick or something. So I don't feel like I get it. I get the feeling. Obviously, I can't, you know, confirm it that the artist was just doing that because that's what's described for the panel.
Yeah.
Instead of necessarily like coming up with how they would do that, or
yeah. You know, a good artist writer team does go back and forth, I would hope. Like, this sounds good on paper, but whether it looks good is a different thing.
Gotcha.
One thing that did bother me visually was Klaus's red cape and like outfit being so similar to like the guards. They have one of those fight scenes where he gets in the house, cornered or whatever in the trap with the guard strapped to the chair. And like, I have trouble sometimes telling which character he was because, you know, it's all red.
Yeah, I can totally see that. You know, it's like he is, because he was part of their, I mean, essentially their military, their guard.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that's actually another thing that this comic does not really question. It's like, I guess, yeah, the purpose of the guard is to protect the town against wolves originally.
Really?
They were on a wolf hunting mission, you know, when Klaus found Lily as like a puppy, basically, and decided not to kill her.
I mean, wolves used to be a lot more dangerous. I mean, I guess they are still dangerous now.
Yeah. But yeah, towns were more in danger of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about them?
Yeah, I guess what I was getting at was I was like, it's weird that they have like essentially like a profession of like guards before having a tyrannical like overlord kind of situation.
Well, you kind of need police.
Yeah.
Someone to like enforce the Baron's rules.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's true. But anyway, yeah, more to your point, Shwenta, that, yeah, he's essentially wearing his uniform from before, and I can see that being a little confusing. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's also somewhat fitting that he's like, I am of these people, you know, these people aren't bad, you know, just because of the situation that they've been put in.
Man, I just realized he said there's no bad children. You're breaking Santa lore. There's a nice and a naughty list. What the heck?
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't get what that line was about.
No,
there's no more bad children, is I think what he says.
No, he just said there are no bad children.
Yeah, there are no bad children. Which, I mean, I think that what the comic is trying to say, what Morrison is kind of trying to say, is that it's like, you know, yeah, Jonas was being, you know, a brat. But it's like, it's only because of his parents, you know.
There's no bad children, there's only bad adults.
Yeah. That's essentially what I feel like. Yeah. Or even no bad children, only bad parents.
It's only their fault.
Yeah. God. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, modern modern parenting practices kind of agree with that. Like, I mean, it's an oversimplification for sure, but
yeah, most of the time kids don't know any better, so they can't really be bad.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, yeah, that's probably what they're trying to do here, is that it's like, well, if I get to create, you know, the Santa mythology, or, you know, in this instance, obviously it's not like everybody's going to just accept this, but it's like, you know, I'm making my own Santa mythology. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to imbue it with the virtues that I think are best, you know, not necessarily just checking something off a box, you know. But it's just like, yeah, I don't think that the naughty list is really a good thing. It really represents more of the Krampus kind of thinking that there are,
that's true,
you know, naughty children that deserve coal. It's like, well, no.
This thing is just eat all children, it seems like.
Yeah. I mean, it's a combo, though, of like, you know, he's kind of mixing a lot of different myths and origins and stuff like that. But yeah, this Krampus just eats children.
Yeah.
But him coming from the coal mines is a reference to naughty children getting coal.
Right. So I wanted to, you know, make this the connection again. Continuing with this, it's like him saying there are no bad children, just like Santa, of like, oh yeah, there are no bad children. Oh wait, never mind.
I just appreciate the buff Santa and Santa.
Yeah.
Well, this is also a buff Santa.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. One over the other. Better.
Yeah. He appreciated going for comedy, buff Santa, over accidentally humorous.
It's really funny. I don't know why I find it so funny.
That sounds like a great, like, I guess it would be memes. It's like the genre of memes, accidentally funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So ridiculously evil.
Yeah. I will say, though, I think that I want to clarify, like, my essentially first statement on this, as far as, like, Grant Morrison's best impulses. I think that the more accurate thing to say would be that they are not falling into their worst impulses, actually. Which can be, you know, anywhere from being way too dour and, you know, just like anti-society.
Like We Three.
Yeah. I mean, even there's works that you know, the show has not read, but it's a lot worse, and I choose not to read.
Fair enough.
And to like just, you know, being way overly complicated. But I do agree with Jake. I could use a little bit more complication, a little bit, like, I wasn't actually a big fan of the Invisibles, so I don't think I wanted the Invisibles Christmas here, but yeah, definitely some amount of like, yeah, and you know, there's certain things, because I know things about Grant Morrison, that I'm like, oh, you're basically those things that were holding the runes that gave him like his ultimate powers. Like, those were essentially like what Grant Morrison believes to be like in real life fifth dimensional beings.
Oh. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I want him to say that.
Yeah.
Like, I thought we were gonna get like super magical. We talked about like, oh, the image of the demon in the book, when it gets released from the earth, it also gets released from the book. It's like, that's another magical principle, and I want you to come out and say that.
Yeah, I could definitely see it being pretty cool that it's like, you know, especially like with the precursory myth of the forest spirits and the Santa, the the thing that they attach to Klaus, essentially.
The jeweler-ness as well.
Yeah, the jeweler-ness. All of that stuff, it's like, that is right in Grant Morrison's wheelhouse of, there's another word for it, but essentially, like, things in fiction being able to become real.
Like personification?
No. It's more than that. It is things that are fictional crossing over into the real world as actual objects, and vice versa, real things going into fiction. Yeah, that is a lot of what they enjoy writing about, and honestly believe, it is part of their kind of personal belief system too.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
it's definitely not a boring comic.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's boring.
That's the worst fate.
Yeah.
And I can really see like the pieces there that they were trying to do, but I just don't think it was, I don't know. It felt very rushed in the ending. Kind of like, I don't know, the escalation was just kind of weird.
Like with the Krampus
emerging. The pacing of like, things are getting worse, and we're getting more towards like...
Probably shouldn't have been 9 issues.
Or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, it was 7, but the first one was double length. And was the last one double length? I don't remember.
Think so.
But yeah. So
I think it's mostly just the fact that like he just plays a flute and the little guys come out and make him make toys. And I guess that means hand them out. I don't know, just the the sequence of events of being like,
yeah,
I guess that's what's gonna happen next, which we already covered. It's the story. This is what's going to happen. There's not really a domino effect so much.
Yeah. And also we don't get anybody's internal thought process. There's no thought bubbles or captions. It's just dialogue.
You can, a good comic doesn't have to show that. There's plenty of comics that don't show any internal. Maybe they'll have a character next to the main character so they can be a little bit more external with their thoughts.
Sure.
But I don't think this comic has enough room for even, like, showing characters. So they just kind of say things. They're like, oh, the poor, poor people who are being downtrodden by the evil, evil man.
So
and the evil man is busy being like, man, I'm being evil.
Yeah.
I need to be more evil.
So what I'm getting from what you're saying is that we'll take the specific, creation of the toys, and then the next thing he does is give them out. Like, we'll use that as an example. So you're saying, like, where's the thought process between that actually happening and him being like, oh, I'm gonna give it out? Like,
even just, he gets beat up and then is like, just goes back to the forest, and he probably wouldn't have gone back to the village unless those like forest spirits came around. Like, is that a normal thing for him? Does he play the flute and they always show up? I have no idea.
I assume
Did he know this was gonna happen?
I assume so. I think because the first time he played it, he was like, let's entertain the shiny people.
Yeah.
Or the shiny family.
Yeah. I think that he's familiar with the magic of the forest and stuff like that. This is the first time that he's, been basically given a mission by them.
I thought he was tripping.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely also like part of Grant Morrison's thing is like, the soup and the music is, it is a kind of hallucinogenic kind of thing too. But seeing truth through those visions. And
knowing what to do next, I guess.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like there's any intention in Klaus to become what he becomes.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, he is a destined figure, rather than having agency in his own story. He was, he was protected by the forest spirits on the ice when he was a baby. He was chosen at that point to be what he becomes.
Turned him into an immortal being.
Yeah.
I will say this, like, I see what you mean, Shuento, where it's like, in the beginning, when we first get introduced to him, he is very much like, it's not our problem. Like,
Mhm.
what's going on?
Yeah.
And then it is like, there is, like, he makes toys, and then his decision is then to actually help out. It's like, I see what you
Hand
mean.
them out. And so I guess his personality trait would be generous
Mm,
or upstanding citizen.
right.
Name
And
a few personality traits of this man.
Mhm.
and I guess there also it can be said, like, why did he decide to go to the town when he did?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, maybe it's an inevitable thing. Like, I'm not too worried about, like, the beginning where he goes into town and finds out, oh man, my cool town is not cool anymore. This sucks. Gets kicked up.
Mhm.
And then is like, this place sucks. Leaves with his life barely.
Mm.
And then decides to go back, which I guess shows his intention. It just doesn't feel intentional. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
And then the reason that he stays there, I never get the feeling. It's just that thing again of like, I don't get the feeling that the character meant any of this. It's just what has to happen.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's fair.
I don't think that you're wrong to think or to feel that way about it. I think that it is very much even intentional to a point that it's like, I think that that's how they are trying to attain that fairy tale feeling of it, which kind of makes it
I
less
never
deep.
thought about thinking it as a fairy tale originally until you guys like brought it up.
Mhm.
Helps me a little bit.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean you have to enjoy it either.
No.
I enjoyed it so much. It's very dumb.
And I did
It's
enjoy
gorgeous.
it.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I will say, if the art
Yes.
wasn't that good, I probably would have had a lot more to say.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Every single page, I was like, this is so gorgeous and dumb.
Yeah.
Every single, like, color
Mm-hmm.
scene was wow.
Yeah. I definitely would want to get this in print.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing I didn't super love about the art, well, sometimes it goes painterly and sometimes it goes very textured and graphic. It's interesting when it shifts between the two. I didn't like, they have this like very thin textured line they would use for his beard or his hair sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that textured line bothered me so much, but I'd constantly notice it.
Hmm.
It's hard to point out now. I think they stopped using it towards the end.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. Sometimes they just do really, really thin lines. It's such a graphic style that I was like, I can't tell if they're trying to do it painterly or graphic.
Mm-hmm. Kind of see that. Yeah, I know that I pointed out, or I said some things that I didn't like about the artwork, but overall, I think that it is really great artwork. I was nitpicking, I think that it's really good. And I think that Dan Mora does get even better, in his, what has it been since 2016? So 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years later, I think he's refined his style even more.
Gotcha. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Colors are really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and impressive. Yeah, he is doing the, penciling, inking, and coloring on this.
Wow. It really is a two-man team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and also just for listeners out there, because I didn't mention it at the beginning, this is published by Boom Studios.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's more of it, apparently, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yep.
There is more. There's these 7 issues that we're covering, and then there is these kind of specials, Klaus and the Witch of Winter, Klaus and the Crisis in Xmasville, Klaus and the Crying Snowman, and Klaus and the Life and Times of Joe Christmas.
Would you read more of those?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd check them out. I want to see.
I don't think so. This ended pretty conclusively for me.
Yeah, I kind of thought this was the end.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I think I'm curious to know at least, one of them. Like, what is this then? Does this take place in the years,
Or, yeah.
Yeah, is it in Grimsvig, and he's like, oh, I have to go to this place, though? Or is it
Well, he left Grimsvig, so...
Yeah. Well, he left Grimsvig once Lady Dagmar died, but it's like...
Oh, in between.
Is this in between or not?
I half expect them to be like... Do I half expect it? That's a good question. I tentatively expect of like him being in modern times for at least the next one.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I assumed this was going to be a modern comic in terms of setting.
Interesting.
So it was interesting to get into it and be like medieval.
Yeah.
In a year.
Also, I normally would have said this at the beginning of the show, but I only just saw this, that Klaus began as an idea during the late 2000s while Morrison was working on All-Star Superman and Batman. And they were also working as a screenwriter in Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
You just need Santa Claus, but superhero.
Mm-hmm.
People keep saying about it.
Yeah. But yeah. Overall, I'd say that I liked this.
Very funny. It's trying to accomplish something.
Yeah. I wouldn't personally say that it was funny to me.
Me neither.
Yeah. Personal opinion of myself.
Yeah.
Laughed at almost every page. Maybe I was just too out of it. Maybe I need more sleep.
Okay. Yeah. I will say there was some things that was like, I can't believe this is happening. There was occasional moments with that, especially like at the rate I was reading it all like compressed together rather than taking some breaks here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I just kind of took it at face value and liked it. But yeah, I think that that's all that we have for today. So thank you once again for listening to the Comic Panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, or Podbean. You can support this podcast by sharing it with anyone you know and by rating and reviewing our podcast. You can also reach out to us with any thoughts you have on the things we talk about on Twitter at TheComicPanel1 and on Instagram and Facebook at TheComicPanel. We appreciate your feedback and look forward to sharing many more comic thoughts with you. Have a blessed day.